Morning everybody. It's a beautiful morning, so we'll take a run. And I don't know what to take this morning. Whether to take 2 wheels or 3. I'll tell you what. We'll take the old Bullet Thumper. Lovely old thing. This Thumper. 1991. 500 Bullet. I've done a bit of work on it, you can see it's not exactly what you might call standard, but it's ideal for around these lanes. Well, Thumper started, which is always a benefit. Now I must admit this is a second attempt at this little trip. I just hope the camera's playing the game today, because it wasn't the other day. Got halfway around and found it hadn't been recording. So let's see where we get to this time. Like I said, it's a mighty fine day today. We're going to go the opposite direction to normal. Out on the B5053. Which, if we stayed on it, would take us to Cheadle Staffs, that is. And almost to Stoke-on-Trent, but we don't want to go there today. Got to stay within the Peak District as much as we can. Again, the Staffordshire part of the Peak District, of course. One or two bits of history to play with. But other than that, a mighty fine little run out. It's a lovely old thing, is a Bullet. Got its limitations, but like I said, it's great for around these lanes. If a little bit bumpy. One of my favourite sets of bends in front of us. This hill is called Butterton Close. It's a lovely sequence of corners. Now we're on Butterton Moor at the moment. Going to turn left just in front of us, and as we turn left we'll be embarking on Grindon Moor. Butterton is the village that's behind us now on the left. Oh. But like I say, we'll see how far we can get before the road is actually closed, as the sign said. But as I said, this is Grindon Moor. The village of Grindon's a couple of miles in front of us. But a little bit of a story from history across here. There's still one or two locals that are old enough to recall the really bad winters over the years, and the worst in terms of snow was the winter of 47. I wasn't around in 47, but there was a tragedy up here. February 1947, there was a mercy mission. It was a Halifax bomber from the RAF that was dispatched to drop supplies to the snowbound locals, the farmers and the villagers. And I was across on the left here that they were too close to the ground. It was a whiteout. They couldn't see the ground, and the wingtip struck the ground and the aircraft crashed with the loss of everybody on board, sadly. And there is a memorial across there. It's quite a stroll across there, to be honest, over to our left. But it is across there. You come down across to the left. That's the Manifold Valley over there. You might see me looking in the mirror quite often. Yes, I do check my mirrors anyway, but I'm checking the camera to see if it's still recording after what happened the other day. The old Bullet's a bit, what shall we say, it's a bit agricultural in so many senses. It's not got an awful lot of power. But it's have to use a degree of deliberation when you're riding this whole thing, particularly with the gearbox. Officially it's got 4 speeds, 4 forward speeds. But at the last count it had about 93 neutrals, so you have to be a little bit deliberate with your gear changes. I'm used to it now though, and it's all part of the fun. Now when you live in a limestone area like this, because this is the limestone side of my home village, have to accept that the place is dotted with limestone quarries, and there's quite a big one over on the right, if you can see that. I know the camera doesn't always show things up quite the same as when you're looking at them, but there's a big towering building on the right in the distance, middle distance, and that's the, well, it used to be the Blue Circle quarry. Not sure what the company is that owns it these days. Quarry at Caldon Low. provides employment, not as much employment as it used to, but provides a good amount of employment for the locals. Now we're coming down to the tiny village of Waterfall in front of us, but we're not going to go through the middle of Waterfall. We're going to turn right and drop down into Water Houses. Water Houses was very much a quarryman's village. You can see the buildings of Waterfall. It's a very pleasant village, as Waterfall. And the Red Line is particularly pleasant. So this is Water Houses we're coming into. And the houses on the left, these were built primarily as housing for quarrymen working at Caldenlow. There's actually more than just one quarry across there in front of us. You can see the tower of the main quarry now directly in front of us. It is a bit of a blot on the horizon, but people need work. So we're only on the main road for about a mile, that's all, and we're going to turn off back onto the narrow lanes where this whole thing is quite comfortable. This is the Leek to Ashbourne road we're on at the moment, heading towards Ashbourne. If you remember the video I did around the Manifold Valley, Ecton Hill, Hugh Bend and the narrow gauge railway, just to the right of us was the terminus for the narrow gauge railway. This is where it came to meet the standard gauge line, and just in front of us where the lorries just crossed was a level crossing, and the track to the left of us up there, that was the narrow gauge railway up there. Used to bring the goods, predominantly milk and cream and cheese from the creamery, down to Water Houses to be transferred onto the standard gauge railway to be taken into the potteries and beyond. Now we're going to take this left turn, and this will take us up to the outskirts of the village of Calton, C-A-L-T-O-N, where we'll turn left and take to the parkland that will take us across to Throwley Hall and onwards to Ilam, the pretty little village of Ilam. Now this is a gated road. There's at least one gate that is quite often shut. Now typically when I came across on the first attempt the gate was open. But it didn't really matter, but you can guarantee that now the camera's working properly, the gate will be shut. This is where we come onto the parkland, unfenced, where the sheep are free to roam. Over to the left you can see back into the Manifold Valley again, looking up towards Hume End, where we were the other week. What a beautiful day to take this run. Even better view of the Manifold Valley now. Hoping that's in front of us. Down below us, that's well, it's Throwley Hall Farm. Throwley, Throwley. But the point of interest about Throwley Hall Farm is the ruins of Throwley Hall to the right hand side of it. You might just be able to make out the ruins from up here. It dates back to the 1600s, medieval times. And it's had various different owners over the centuries, but I think it was the late 1600s, early 1700s, it was actually connected to the Cromwell family. Not Oliver himself, but a member of his family. Married the daughter of the family that was ensconced here at the time. Now then, it's great to see the sheep around, but the danger is when the lambs are on the one side and the mother's on the other, and they see something like this coming along, and the first thing they want to do is run to the mother, straight under the wheels, sometimes. Oh, the gate's open again. Marvellous. So we've just ridden through the farmyard effectively. The Throwley Hall Farm. I'm just going to stop here for a short while to take a better look at Throwley Hall itself. Okay, stick with your mother. So yes, that's Throwley Old Hall. The existing hall dates back to the 1600s, but there was a manor house here long before that, prior to the 1500s in actual fact, but it's been in ruins for literally centuries. Anyway, let's see if Thumper will start for me again, and we'll head off down to Ilam. There's no electric start on this, so it gives my right leg a bit of exercise, shall we say. Fuel on, tickle the carburettor, ignition on. That's not a good sign. That's a good sign. Onwards. Nice to see the lambs. It's a good sign of spring. When I was working, we used to have a bit of a problem across here. This is there's a lot of badger sats across here, and we used to get visitors from South Yorkshire, Manchester, come out in the transit vans, usually transits anyway, and trap the badgers, often using dogs, to take the badgers back for the brutal sport of badger baiting. I did catch a few, but not as many as I would have liked to have done. Badger baiters, that is, not badgers. But that's all in the past now, for me at least. Now we're coming down to join the river Manifold again, down below, so you can see the bridge. It's a lovely old bridge. That's Rushley Bridge over the Manifold, but we'll not see much of the Manifold just here at the minute because it's gone underground. It's been a dry period, and when the water level drops in the river, it takes to the subterranean passageways, little cave systems that carry the water, and the only time the water comes up onto the surface into the riverbed itself is when there's been a good amount of rain, and we've had no rain for a week. A little bit of standing water on the right, but that's just a pool that doesn't drain. But the rest of it, the rest of the riverbed, is virtually dry. Now this is Ilam Village, sometimes referred to as Ilam, I-L-A-M. Not the original village, it's a model village. Here's Ilam. In front of us are the grounds of Ilam Hall. Can't see Ilam Hall from here. It's a former manor house, which is now a youth hostel actually. But the original village of Ilam was across the meadow on our right. There's nothing left of it. The only thing that's left of the old village is the church, in actual fact. A medieval church. Again, dates back to the 1600s. But you can see the Swiss cottage style of this model village. Now the Manifold's actually got water in it, which is nice to see. But we just crossed. We're going to take a run up to Ilam Meadows. It's a particularly nice view from Ilam Meadows. Another lovely set of bends up here. I'll turn around at the cattle grid and take in this view. I'll just tarry a moment and tell you what it's all about. So, where we are at the minute, just make sure we're recording. Yes. Looking across the valley, you can see a flat-topped hill on the right hand side. That's Thorpe Cloud, and then you can see quite a marked entrance to a valley. That's the start of Dovedale. About 3.5 miles of absolutely spectacular limestone scenery, spires, caves, all sorts up there, really close to the footpath as well. It's been a very popular attraction since Victorian times. So we've got, as I say, Thorpe Cloud, flat-topped hill of Thorpe Cloud, then the deep incision, if you like, of Dovedale, the entrance to Dovedale, and then a ridge of a hill to the left, culminating in a definite peak, and that's Bunster Hill. Those two hills are considered to be the gateway to Dovedale itself, which they are really. Anyway, onwards and northwards, I think we are at the moment. First kick, marvellous. We're taking the run up to Ilam Meadows, if only to take the run back down again, because it's It's just a beautiful area. Bridge over the Manifold. Now we've got to take a slight diversion into Derbyshire for a few miles, because I noticed that there's a road closed sign on the road I wanted to take out of Ireland, so we'll take a little detour. But up to the left of us, there's a little junction in front of us up to the left. That's the way up to the main car park for Dovedale itself, and on a day like today that car park will be absolutely rammed, so we'll not bother adding to it. There's that entrance to Dovedale again, a little bit closer to this time. One or two people stood on the top of Thorpe Cloud up in front of us. We won't be joining them today. And this brings us down to the River Dove. Just here, up to the right, is Wolfscotdale. This is the River Dove we're just crossing. And from the bridge onwards, this is Milldale, a very, very short section of the Dove Valley. This is the River Dove to our left. There are artificial weirs built all the way across this section for the fishermen, the trout fishermen in particular. Very popular trout fishermen, one of the most famous of whom was Isaac Walton. Isaac Walton was a member of the nobility who used to while away his time out here on the Dove. He actually wrote a book called The Complete Angler. Heron on the right, on the left hand side, one of nature's fishermen. Female that was. quite often heron down this way. So yes, this is Milldale, and we're going to turn away from the river up to the right, just here. This will take us up to Alstonfield. In front of us is the other end, if you like, of Dovedale. This is the north end of Dovedale, looking down to the left there. Lots of visitors, understandably, in this weather. Some schools are still on their Easter holidays. I nearly said summer holidays then, I'm wishing my life away. This on the right here, this is the Watts Russell Arms, which is open, which is always, it's really good to see just at the minute. Not all the pubs are opened, some are waiting until it gets a bit warmer, but even so it's good to see the open sign in front of pubs again. Now we're coming up to Alstonfield now, and Alstonfield is particularly well blessed with daffodils. I could almost call this run the Daffodil Run. In fact, I might just do that. Camera's still recording, that's good. So this is Alstonfield. These are more modern houses on the right hand side, built as affordable housing. But we'll have a run through the village itself. Very pretty village is Alstonfield, the village green there in front of us. We've got the George on the left. They are not open yet, they're getting ready for the onslaught when it gets warmer weather. Like I said, the daffodils are beginning to drop off a little bit now, but at least they're still here for us. So that was Alstonfield. Very much the Daffodil Run today. Like I said, it is one of the prettiest villages in the area. And we're back in Staffordshire now, of course. It has been said in the past, and not just by myself, that some of the prettiest parts of Derbyshire are in Staffordshire. I know it sounds a bit daft, but in a way it makes sense. Still recording. Over to the left of us in the middle distance, that's a hill I've mentioned so many times. Acton Hill. You can just about pick out, if you look carefully, you can pick out the spoil from the mine entrances. Like I said the other week, there were so many mining operations taking place in that hill for copper. Very rich in copper was Acton Hill. There's still quite a lot of copper in there, it's just a long way down now. It's the main shafts, they sink from the summit of the hill. They sink 900 feet, 300 feet down to what is effectively river level, and then 600 feet which is now submerged. One of the main reasons the mines were abandoned was because it cost so much to pump them to pump them dry, so the miner could still extract the ore. It became cheaper to import the copper from other countries overseas. A short run through the manifold, through the valley. Alongside the old railway track, of course, again. Been put to good use this week and last week. This whole thing amazes me up here. Very low power, 22 brake horsepower when it was new. I'm sure it hasn't got that now. And this hill we've just climbed, Dale Lane, is really quite steep and it just takes it in its stride. Thump, 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 up to the top in top gear. It really is the ideal bike for around these lanes. Back to good old Warslow. Thanks for watching again, everybody, and as always, if you could hit like and subscribe, every little bit helps. Thanks a lot.